afterwards. I'll let him come in.
Nice. Got getting a nice setup here.
All right, so it should come over here now.
It's probably the latest I've ever started. Oops. Oh well.
The more you do it, the easier it'll get.
I know. You'd think, but it's me. It's like have you ever seen the show Survivor? When the person like goes, "I'm not gonna get booted off the island." It's like, bye,
First
bye.
one, yeah, the first one, yeah.
That's me going, "Oh, I finally got this." It's like, no.
Well, like you say, like you'll eventually get it. They never say exactly when that.
Right.
They never say if it's going to be 10 years, 20 years. No, they never say that part.
My learning curve's kind of
Eventually get
long.
it.
You're so funny. I know, exactly. It's true, though. But I am perfectly fine with that. It's other people who... I've been me my whole life, so, I'm used to it.
Yeah.
Psst, psst. Good?
I'm waiting for it.
Oh, okay. That's how you win. Thanks so much for doing this. You're such a...
Oh, no problem.
Hang on a second. It doesn't mean it's ready yet.
Okay.
It still says offline.
Oh, okay. Can I get my thing to go over so I can see the stuff? Move it over.
Hang on. I don't get why it's offline.
Yeah, this is definitely kind of a tough...
Can't be. Super easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get caught up on the technical stuff. That's why I was curious. I was like, how is this going to work? Because especially going through Zoom, I use Zoom for a lot of different things.
Yeah, I don't really. It's kind of funny.
It's coming up. Let me check.
He's gonna check it out if it's on or not, and then we'll start when we get going.
You can start moving the screens around.
Oh, okay. Sweet. It might take me a minute. Oh, okay. That's a minute. It's done. Oh, I see. Okay. Stream checklist. Live stream. I just got to get it to enable. And then you'd think I'd be good at this, but no.
I don't know the first thing about doing a YouTube show, so
I'm the worst.
Yeah.
Any luck? We'll get started in just a second. I have to bring up that live stream. Where is it? Searching.
No problem.
Thanks.
I'm patient. I'm telling you.
Okay.
God has installed me with conditions.
Oh, sweet. We're supposed to be live now, which would be great. And then hopefully I can find a way to get my chat up, and we will get started.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Can you help me get my chat up?
Be happy to talk to everybody finally. I've been waiting, hoping everybody gets some good, some good questions and everything for me.
Oh, I hope so. I hope people aren't shy to ask questions. I know you are so open and amazing and wonderful.
If I can answer it, I will.
Yeah,
I like to.
You know what? If somebody asks something that you're not into, just say, I'm not comfortable. People get it. I have like 20 questions ready for you. Okay. Oh, sweet. Les might be here. I thought Les is with his... I thought you were with your daughter, Les. I probably know most of the people anyway, so it's kind of cool. Oh, cool. Andrew. So let's see. 3 people are here, and we will get started. You'd think I'd be good at this by now, but no, I'm not. So let me just get this going, and spacing is everything. Let me see, and we'll get started. Sorry for the delay. Okay. I think I got this, kind of, maybe. Okay.
I'm going to trust you. Take your word for it. I can't see it all.
Okay, I got it all here, and if you need me to read anything twice, I will be happy to. All right. Oh, Lakeisha, hello. Sweet, we're just getting started. And it's never pretty with me. Moppy, oh, cool, you have a bunch of people, and I know a lot of them. Yay. All right, let me get you back on there. And we can start. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to this Sunday night special with Angry Soccer Mom. And today we're doing a Q&A with my friend Thomas, who is a former Mississippi State leader of the Aryan Brotherhood. And he is just, I am honored to have him here. And he works for, you actually kind of work for the
I volunteer with.
Volunteer for Life After.
Yeah, I don't actually get, I don't get paid for anything. Right. This is strictly, I am 100% disabled. visually. So yeah, everything I do is just volunteer work.
Right.
I try to put in as much time as I can in daily, working with multiple clients, people trying to de-radicalize in different situations. It's nice.
Cool. I am so thrilled you're here. You have to meet this person. He's amazing. Sorry, I'm going to be a little bit embarrassing to you. So tonight's format is an open question session. I want you to feel comfortable to ask him anything you want. And if he doesn't want to answer it, then he'll say, I don't go there, or whatever. The objective,
so it's okay.
He's ludicrously open. It's awesome. The objective of tonight is to come to a better understanding of organizations like the Aryan Brotherhood through education. And it's good to have a candid conversation with a man who was involved and actually knows about this. And as we all know, dehumanization is a central theme in a lot of kind of hate type things. So I ask that viewers ask candid questions, but do so in the spirit of unity and educational understanding. So welcome so much. Welcome, and thank you for being here.
And I would actually like to expand on that. It's not just people with hate, it's any kind of extremist. That can go for Islamic extremists or anything. Any kind of extremist has the same kind of qualities, mindsets, and the recruiting and radicalization process is very similar.
That's fascinating. That when you told me about that, it's. I remember when I first talked to you, when you said that, it was like, wow, I get it, kind of, and then you explain more. So yeah,
I researched it before. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Definitely get into that. So do you want to just start off? I don't know what you normally start off with, but I wanted to kind of. You want to give us a rundown on like what people don't really know what the Aryan Brotherhood even is. I mean, they think they do, but they probably don't all the way.
There's a lot of different groups that fall under the umbrella of like white supremacy and far right, alt right, whatever you want to coin it, whatever term that people are trying to come up with, today. It's all the same thing. But basically falls under this umbrella, and the Aryan Brotherhood is just one part, and it's like the prison-based system that and they have like their own type of structures. They're usually more gang cartel type based with a paramilitary kind of structure versus the more political groups that you see out here that are like I can name a few different ones, but yeah, they're not as political as most groups. So yeah, just in a little short definition.
Yeah. So for the actual Aryan. Oh, hi Gary. Gary's here. For the Aryan Brotherhood, is it all about like white supremacy, or is it what?
The Aryan Brotherhood, okay, it's the best I can say is the Aryan Brotherhood is like a lot of the prison-based gangs. They are more about the criminal culture and the criminal enterprises than they are the racism. That racism is really put in on the end of it to really terrorize and induce fear and to help motivate people to not mess with them, to keep their business straight, and such and so on, to just get that reputation going and keep that mystique going. And so they're more, they're more into the to the criminal element side of that.
So it's the criminal element, like.
Well, most people are radicalized in prison. So it's people that have already messed up and been locked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I got locked up. I got locked up for armed robbery at the age of 19. I had just turned 19.
You were just 19.
Yeah, they tried to hit me with a life sentence at first, and I tried to fight it for
life sentence. Oh my, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of it was intense. And then when I guess that was a good trick because when they came to me with a plea agreement, I fell for it.
What did you say? You fell for it, or you went for it? I didn't hear you.
I fell for it. Without saying any names, my lawyer wasn't exactly honest with me about my charge being a mandatory sentence. I thought I could get good time and everything. So when I was looking at it, I thought I could get like 3 or 4 years instead of having to do the full 8. And when I got through the system, I was just naive. I was young. I didn't have a paid lawyer. So I got done like everybody else that gets put in the system with a paid lawyer. I get thrown in and forgotten. And so
our system is a lot of people who watch are very much aware of how absolutely like inhumane and unequal, and they know it's for everybody. That's so you weren't in it when you went in. This is a thing that happened when
No,
you were
no. I
kind of
grew up in a predominantly African American, area.
uh,
So yeah, like all my friends, all my friends were African American. So
uh,
it wasn't really like that. When I got in there, it was more of the reputation. It was the most deadly, and I didn't think I was going to be able to get out of prison alive. So I was banking on things in a different mindset. I was thinking
oh
I wasn't going to make it that long, so I might as well go ahead and figure if I'm never getting out of prison, I'd make the deadliest choice possible to make myself in the best standing. And that's
right.
the way I decided. I decided with a 19-year-old brain, which is
Yeah, of
not the
course. You're a
not the
kid.
best brain, but yeah. So that aside, I made the choices
Yeah.
and I followed them through, and these choices, led me here today.
What did you say? These choices? What?
These choices have led me here today. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, it's a really tough thing. I could go on and on about the system, and I'm sure you could more than me about how, boy, it's not rehabilitative. If you were 19, some 19-year-olds are still in high school. I mean, that's the bottom
Yeah,
line. I mean, just to get the age straight. But
I
so
got my GED. Yeah.
are you saying how you picked this particular organizations to get involved in was basically you thought, I'm never going to get out. These are the toughest, roughest, most like the reputation was so. Was that
Yeah, it preceded everything. So that was the best way to go. If you could get into it, which is the recruiting standards, for them are pretty slim. So it's really hard to get into, in with them. So if you could do it, you had prestige among other groups as well, throughout any system, any prison system. Because like it or not, in America, like if you go to prison, you're forever marked. Especially me, having violent crime in Mississippi,
uh-huh.
I can never vote again, ever. I can never have my rights restored. Anything. It's a permanent ban on everything. So that's impacted jobs when I could work and everything. I've had to fight against it, fight against it, fight against it. I've had
Right.
multiple trades. I'm sorry.
Like
Go
your
ahead.
life's destroyed basically from what
Yes.
you did when you were
Yeah.
a kid.
Even with the white privilege that I had helping me, it was still difficult, and it's just like it's insurmountable for everybody else.
Right,
Um,
right. Yep.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I can't imagine because I you hear it all the time. I read about it all the time. Um, in our system, among other things, once you are in the system, I mean, especially now with these for-profit prisons, for God's sakes, you're
They
in and
needed
they want you
slaves.
back. Was that?
They needed slaves.
Oh,
When
oh
they
yeah.
outlawed
Yep.
slavery, they needed slaves.
Yep.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's how they went about it. Mississippi still uses a prison farm. They still actively work the farms. They have chicken farms, hog farms, everything right there. I personally work maintenance on those. So yeah, they still have the active involvement of inmate labor and slave labor. So yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, a lot of people might not know, but like the 13th Amendment didn't abolish all slavery. It
No, it
abolished.
just moved it underground to the prison system. The prison system became the slavery system,
Mm-hmm.
and that's because the 13th Amendment said no slavery unless the person is, incarcerated, which then that's exploited. You have prison industries that make so much money, every year. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I'm not
just
even
ask our
gonna
politicians. They all have stock in it. Not
yeah.
all of them, but I mean,
Well, a
it's
good portion of them, and there's been a lot of corrupt, different privatized, organizations. I can go on and on about that, but
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's so let me see. Oh, okay. We already have a couple questions, and I have tons of stuff to ask you. And I got the honor of meeting Thomas, and he's an okay. I'm gonna say one more time. Don't hate me for it. He's an incredible human being. I learned so much from him in 2.5 hours of talking. That it was like mind equals blown. It was amazing, and I will never be able to thank you enough for that. Um, it's you know, I I think he has a great perspective on what's going on. My biggest shock was that he wasn't raised as this racist. I think my perception was always like, oh, somebody in that must be, oh, they must hate black people. They must think that big white supremacists. But he kind of taught me that wasn't really a case in Mississippi or in the whole. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, about how I was raised that way, or
Yeah,
just
I mean, you said you really weren't
my
raised.
mom. No, my mom raised me in, I guess, being raised poor and white. Being just a typical white trash label
Mhm.
stamped on me. The only place I felt comfortable and that I grew up with was in the hoods and in the ghetto areas. That's where I felt comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And by default, that's who raised me. That's who helped my mom. That's who I was. That's who my best friends. That's all these people in my life. That yeah, they might not have the same color skin to me, but they mean a lot to me. So to shape it like that, it would. When I went into the prison, it wasn't. Everything's race based in there. Mm-hmm. All the organizations are race based, and it's just kind of hard to get away from that. Yes. So you can't get away from that.
So you're in it, and you're white, and you're on the white side. Is that kind of what you mean, or
like even the groups that have black members and white members, they still kind of they're still separate within their groups, and it's I don't know. It's not a lot of the groups do the intermingling of races. Yeah, and in prison, is like magnifies this huge issue.
Like what society regularly is, it magnifies it to kind of like. It's very
100-fold, 300-fold. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And I wonder why. That's interesting. That is why. Probably some sociological reason. But I mean, I've heard that, but
yeah. You figure that now this is my personal opinion, just from thinking about it since you asked me.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think it is because the system is based on feeding slaves to work the system. There's a lot of aggression. There's a lot of dissension. There's a lot of that, when the inmates that form the gangs and everything else. But there's an inherent distrust that the system, helps to nurture, I guess, in a lot of ways. It's hard. The system's it's racist all the way down to its core in a lot of levels.
So whatever. Go ahead.
Especially the ones I've been through in Mississippi and the people I've talked to from other states that have been locked up in other states. Say it doesn't change very much. So yeah, there's always that element. And so, to make that jump wasn't that far because that was already like a preset, game. Like if this was a game, that would be like the board. It was already set there. There's no really changing that. That's just how it was. So, given the options I had, I chose the ones that were the most respected, however hated, but respected.
Right. Hated.
Yeah.
But because of their respect and because of their reputation, kind of.
Yeah. So I figured if I was, if I had an X on my head, on my back, whatever, then I would go and I would be the best of whatever I could be. Mm-hmm. And I chose that path. And like I said, it wasn't the best choices, but I made the best of the circumstances that I had put myself into.
So are you just saying kind of like, just to kind of sum it up in very general terms, you went in, you were young, you saw the setup and it was race-based, and did you join? Because I remember you said you kind of didn't.
No, it's not 2 years
can you
afterwards.
Teach us what, you don't just go, hi, I want to be a member. It's right?
No, I mean, I can honestly say what I went through that caused me that, but I don't want to sit here and say, well, this caused me to become racist or something. Right. Because of that racial tension and everything, and because I was young and I was white, I had to fight for my stuff. Because it was my family that sent me money, so I get $50 a month. They send it, and then for the first little bit, I had to fight for it, and I may have to stab a couple people, whatever. After that, then it was done. But it was that racial tension that was brought to me that was my first eye-opening experience to what,
When you say you had to stab a couple people and the money, can you explain that? What do you mean?
Well, if your family sends you money, somebody they might try to come take it or whatever.
Like it doesn't go to a bank; it goes to you personally. Or
no, that goes to a bank, and then you order your noodles or your food,
whatever you want.
Canteen. That's like your money in prison anyway.
Yeah.
So you order that, and then when you get it, try to come back to your bed, your locker, zone, whatever, cell, whatever you're in. Then there might be an issue. Usually targets are usually easy. The older population, the real young population, and because the system's set up to put more African Americans in this, than whites. Of course, you have a lot of really aggravated African American males that are pissed off. So
right, they feel.
They start taking their frustrations out, and that breeds other shit, which breeds more dissent. So. Yeah, long story short, but I don't want to put that as the cause because that's that was nothing. That really had nothing to do with my decision on that part.
Oh, absolutely, and I know this, Thomas, because I know you. You are like a person who takes. Oh, Stevie, hi, thank you for being here. Awesome. This is Thomas, by the way, Stevie. And Thomas is just amazing. So basically, when you went in there, everything is kind of exponentiated, whatever's in regular society, and everyone's obviously, my God, we're in
It wasn't in
prison.
regular society because I remember regular society. I was helped being raised by African American women and everything else. Like this was a complete culture shock for me. Like I went from a hood where I was accepted or and everything to something that where racism was like brought back to life to me out of nowhere. And it
Right,
was
because you told me you were really comfortable with the black
yeah,
people were your friends and your best friends and your
yeah.
relatives and
Before
your
prison, after prison, my best friend was shot 7 times, killed after prison.
yeah.
Yeah, but he's my best friend. Yeah, and like so before prison, after prison, even now, like there's never been that division of like, oh, I'm not gonna have them as friends or
Yeah.
whatever the racist thing I can
Like
think.
you had people taking care of you who were black. They were part
Yeah,
of your.
they raised me.
But
Watched
then,
me when I got home from school. Watched me when I was playing when I was a kid.
Yeah.
There's so many different things. Even before I got shot, my neighbors and stuff would cook for me, bring me over food, make sure I was eating everything. Like, but I lived in the hood, so like, all my neighbors were African American. So
that was
like,
your place. Yeah.
yeah, that was my home.
Yeah. So when you went in, did you know it was going to be like you can't go in. Like, let's say you're like you did something wrong. You're going to do your time, whatever, and you're like, oh, I'm not gonna take sides like that. I'm not like racist, and you kind of like
No,
you can't
no.
do that.
I grew up in the streets, so there's gangs and there's always sides. There's always
Yeah.
things to pick, and I knew that I wanted a family. I knew that I was gonna by this point like I was I had lost a lot of my family and I had a lot more to lose. Some come as well as stretch,
Yeah.
but I needed some kind of family like that I didn't have,
Like you couldn't go in
and
there and be
that's what.
neutral and go, I'm not getting involved in this, and just hang out on the sides. I mean, it seems like the
It's
prisoners were running the
possible,
prison.
yeah. It's possible, but if you have a long time, like I had 8 years mandatory. Like I said, at that point, I thought I was going to end up doing something to get more time and never go home.
Never
So,
go
like,
home. So you can't just
yeah,
sit there alone for 8 years. Is that
yeah, yeah. So, like that becomes your world. So you have to adapt, and
mm-hmm.
that's just the route I went. Now, I'm not saying that's the best thing, but that's just, that's just basic honest truth, man. I mean, I know people like hype it up to be more malicious and stuff, but really, it's a broken system, and just the mess up choice that I chose. That's the organization that I chose, and that's the route I went.
I kind of hear. I mean, tell me if this is right. And I'm trying to. Do you mean kind of like you had to survive there and somehow live somehow, and so you picked what you. I don't mean survive like stay alive, but survive like we can't just.
It wasn't for protection. I want
Right,
to make that
not
clear.
for
Everybody
protection,
wants to
right?
get to that point, and that like really ticks me off every time because like
Yeah, and you told me that. I knew it wasn't for protection.
organizations, out of all the organizations, that's not the one you want to join for protection because there's only going to be one of you against everybody else all the time. So yeah, but no, I joined for like the kind of elite status that come along with it. I joined for the community, the brotherhood, the however dysfunctional family of it.
At least you
That's
had a family, like
exactly. I had people that I called brother, people that would relate to me. That yeah, they would kill for me and kill me, but they'd kill for me too. So
right.
it was something like however dysfunctional that was, it was something.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and you had said that you thought you were gonna when you're 18 or 19 going in. 8 years is like a
they
lifetime.
put me in all the roughest places they could. So yeah, like I'm not even going to pretend like they didn't. They put me like with a violent crime, with an armed robbery charge. They put me in all the worst places they could. So
What do you mean by that? Like the worst kind of
the worst camps, the most violent camps. Yeah, like they put me into the most violent pits they could. So yeah, because I had an armed robbery charge, which is up there with murder and all
right.
the
So
other
it's
stuff.
considered like
So,
extreme. So they put you with the people who are extreme.
yeah. So of course I became extreme.
Right. And that's
They
just
taught me things in there that I would never, ever have learned outside.
interesting.
It's ridiculous. The system's so broken. It's like, no, it works fine for what it was created for, but it's messed up for what we need.
So one of the things that really struck me when we were talking was you said this particular organization, you don't just like decide to go in. This is an elite thing. They choose you, right? You said it's kind of a process.
Yeah, it's
Can you speak to
hard.
that a
Yeah,
little
it
bit?
takes about 9 months to a year to go through the little probationary period. They put you through hell, and a lot of people don't make it. A lot of people have mental breaks, or they just can't physically do it, or the last act that's required of them is too costly for them.
Is too what? Say it again.
Too costly. Like, to become a full-fledged member, they might have to go kill somebody, and they may, when that time comes, they may think, oh, that's just
too costly. Like, I can't do it.
Yeah, too costly. Yeah.
Right. And so can I ask you if this is going to, I'm asking all the questions. Anyone who has questions, just jump in, because God knows I am so upfront asking stuff. It seems like I always thought, as a little kid, easy for me to say, privileged white kid. I thought like they were supposed to run the prison. It seems like the people in the prison were running the prison. The people who are prisoners were running. Is that right? Or
there's two. Now I'm going to put this. It's like a symbiote. It's like a symbiotic relationship.
Okay.
There's two political structures in there. But you have the convict structure, and then you have the actual administrative structure, and the officers and all that. Now, that's a delicate balance that sometimes when it shifts, people die.
Officers, can you tell me more?
Oh wow, that's a long conversation.
Oh, okay. We don't have to get into it.
Yeah, penitentiary politics can get pretty bad. Yeah. Yes. As far as when it comes to the inmates, the officers, yeah, they make rules and everything, and they kind of enforce it. But if they could really enforce it, then they wouldn't have cell phones. They wouldn't have everything else inside prisons, and everything wouldn't be happening. And it is, because most of the officers, well, I'm saying, okay, I'm going to rephrase that. A lot of the officers that are getting busted are doing it for major profit, and everything that I've gotten when I was in there wasn't from any other means.
Other than
it's officers. Officers have been a really, really easy means to get things in. That's been the most easiest point. And I'm pretty sure people do have traditional ways, but
so yeah, it's kind of like it's not the most honest system for.
How can it be? You know how much they get paid? It's awful.
Not much. I don't know.
No, it's not much.
Yeah.
No, so yeah, it's easily exploited. Highly easily exploited, because they can take a $20 prepaid cell phone and make $180 off of it. Sometimes more, up to like $480. So there's a market.
Okay, so they could bring things in and interesting, yeah.
Thousands in one trip, or go to prison for 15 years either way. Yeah.
So you got the people working there, kind of doing like an underground market, plus the people. Yep. There's like a whole cultural subsystems going on.
Yes, and they each feed each other, and so it's hard to get things taken out of the system when the other people that are supposed to be attacking it are helping tip and helping resupply. So it's a big joke. It is. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they've tried, since I've been out of prison, they've tried putting in cell phone blockers. They just go to different parts of the building to use it. They're never going to get rid of the problem as long as the system's as corrupt and broken and as
it's not rehabilitative. It's basically, I mean, they're there.
I know a guy that went in there for 3 years after a couple murders. He ended up getting so many charges. They shipped him to Colorado because he was a problem, and I don't know. They said he hung himself, but I don't know. He wasn't that kind of guy.
Yeah.
It's possible he broke him, but I don't know. He wasn't that kind of guy. Yeah. He was a killer. Like, he would go after people. He wasn't had to hang himself. Yeah. But that's what they said happened. So I don't know.
You hear that so much.
Yeah, the system.
People in the custody, they do not take care of you, huh? I mean,
I've spent almost a year in. Well, if you count it all up, I've spent over a year in isolation, and that breaks people.
Say it again.
I've spent over a year in isolation if you count up all the time together.
And
there have been other people that have spent like 4, 5, 6, 10 years in isolation that are
that's torture.
Yes, they're not ever coming back. I have severe PTSD from all that stuff, and I had to deal with constantly on a daily basis.
And you still,
even though I finished my sentence and I finished my probation, I finished all this other stuff. Yeah, every night I lay down, these people have me, and I can never get set free from that. And that's something they don't ever account for when they sentence people and they do that to them, and they can completely destroy their lives. yeah, I made a bad decision, but it was 8 years really worth it.
It's to me. I mean, obviously, I have my own, take,
Yeah,
but it's like, you're going to come out sometime, or at least, in general, most people, 98% do come out, and to torture people like that, taking away your freedom is one thing. This is just my very, very harsh opinion. To torture people for years and years, and then say now you're free. What the hell do they expect's going to happen? My God.
yeah. I know Mississippi doesn't have a very good post-release program to help people re-enter society.
Yeah.
That's why their recidivism rate is so high.
And now it's for profit.
They're happy because they're still making money. They're happy to get people back.
Oh,
I learned recidivism while sitting in my probationers. I'm in my probation office. They had it in a plaque up on the wall, that with the definition of what recidivism was. So every time I went to see there, I could just sit there and look at that and read what it is and how much. And that's and it goes, breaks down, going back because of technical or other charge, and it's ridiculous. And that's just like having to be reminded of that. That's their goal, is to get people to go back. They don't want people to become better people or get skills or the proper way.
There's nothing rehabilitative about it. Sounds terrifying. Is it terrifying?
Yeah, I did 2.5 years of HVAC school in prison, and I got out and I found out they wouldn't bond me. The insurance wouldn't bond me because I was a convicted felon. So I had 2.5 years of HVAC school, and I aced it.
What is that?
Heating, ventilation, and air conditioning.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm eventually certified for HVAC. Yeah. So really good. I really invested in it. Got out and realized they wouldn't bond me for a truck. I couldn't get an insurance for a truck, so therefore I couldn't work in that field. So I went to welding. Yeah.
So they basically had you do a trade that could have been a lucrative job, but they forgot to tell you that, oh, by the way, you can't work in it.
Yeah, not as a felon, yeah. I got by as welding and tattooing. That's pretty much it.
Wow. I mean, I just want to ask you, did you, and people who are listening and stuff, ask him.
Yeah, ask me any questions.
He's like,
come on.
He's so open. Did you, so from the minute you went in, I mean, it sounds terrifying. Like,
it sucks. Yeah, it's not fun.
And there are I'm not saying jail or prison should be like a party, but for the love of God, I mean, it sounds like.
Well, in all honesty, 8 years, I had some pretty good memories too, because I had some friends in there. And I mean, 8 years, you grow up in there, you adapt. Yeah. But those few little jewels don't make up for all that.
Right.
Watching people stab to death, watching people die, watching people's throats slit, watching people get mangled and hurt. They don't ever treat people for that. I have PTSD and everything from that, and I got to live with that. But
you get therapy or anything in there?
Yeah, because I'm not a soldier, it doesn't count.
But you
literally
spent time in.
Yes. Yeah, but all the PTSD programs, well, not all, but majority of the PTSD programs that I found out there are for vets and mainly based for vets. Mm-hmm. And I try to get access to them to be able to get treatment, and no. So, and I'm not trying to knock the vets by any means. So
right. No, I know that, Thomas. Absolutely.
I would just like to be able to get help treatment too, because there's 22 vets that commit suicide because of PTSD.
Absolutely.
I wonder how many people are unchecked committing suicide from PTSD, from other things, from prison, from other from other things that people don't recognize.
I know a little bit about mental health, and there are many, many other ways to get absolutely. Aside from military end, it just became kind of a known term from military, but PTSD has been around for as long as humans have been around. I mean, I just Neil says, Thomas, do you get flashbacks from some of the things that you have seen or been through? Or Neil was
daily.
Asking that.
Daily, yeah, Neil.
Great
daily.
question.
I wish it wasn't. But yeah, I find myself staring off in space sometimes. I'm standing, sitting, it doesn't really matter, and I'll flash back and I'll kiss myself, and like my wife will ask me like, where was I at?
Like you just are staring because it's like you're.
Yeah, I'm not there. I'm reliving stuff, and yeah, it's pretty bad. Like my day is pretty much like if I remember things, it's pretty much a shooting. But when I go to sleep, it's usually prison and the past. Yeah.
When you close your eyes at night, even though you're in a safe home with your wife, does it feel like you forget? Like, do you forget?
Well, no. When I go to sleep, I'm back in prison. I'm back in the cell. I'm back in talking to people. I'm back in situations. I'm back in. I'm back in shakedowns. I'm back in where they're coming in there and they're stomping people and they're doing all this other stuff. I'm back in high stress situations, things like that. It's just the PTSD playing out the terror parts you know, and it amplifies up in the dream to make it worse.
When you go to sleep,
So
you're in a as vulnerable as humans. We're like vulnerable, and so
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
anybody.
Luckily, medicines that really help. So they get it to where like I'm there, but I'm not in high stress situations. So it's not
Say
that
it
bad.
again. What really helps? Did you say?
Medicines, they have
Yeah,
PTSD
yeah,
medicines that help out with the dreams part of it,
yeah.
where it de-escalates the I don't know how it works, but yeah, it helps
Yeah, it can
with
like
getting rid
take
of the
the edge
guilt.
off a little bit.
It does, yeah.
Take
It
the edge of
brings the stressful. Like I might still be in a prison situation, but it might be a low stress situation. Like I might be just be playing dominoes, cards, talking, whatever.
so that's
So
it does help a little bit.
yeah,
And because I mean, I can imagine, and I'm just guessing. You're like you're a 19-year-old kid, and all of a sudden, when you go in, you're under tremendous fear, and it's never really going to go away. Like when a human being is under fear for hours upon days upon weeks upon, it changes your brain chemistry. I mean, it makes you.
I wish I could say it started there, but most people in my situation were raised like that. We're like that from
Okay.
birth. We're in abusive homes. We're in broken homes. We're in these different things. Living in poverty is never fun. So no, it didn't start then. It's the going into survival mode started immediately. Remember, my mom died when I was 15, so I was on my own from
You're
that point.
right. I don't know if you heard what he said. His mom passed away when he was 15, and
Yeah, so I was moved out on the streets on my own at age 15 at that point, and that's when I started my life. So survival mode was kicked in long before the prison sentence, long before all that.
right,
That's how
right.
I got myself. That's how I got to that situation.
Right. I'm gonna. A bunch of people are asking some fantastic questions. The just Neil says thank you for your answer, Thomas. I was not trying to bring up bad memories, and Neil
No,
says he knows. He knows this is really educational. And Thomas he keeps it real, so don't feel bad at all. I mean, you have a gift of speaking, and you're really really good the way you explain
you
things.
would never think I went through 9 years of speech therapy for stuttering.
That's so funny because you are like super super.
Yeah,
There
God
is
helps me. I pray before every time, man. God helps me speak every time.
because Thomas, I gotta say, I love doing interviews with you. I love having you. You are just so easy. I was always trying to get Thomas to come on the crazy Wednesday night, crazy show because he has such great insight. You've really educated yourself. I mean,
I try to stay up
really?
on everything I can as much as I can. Yeah.
What's that? Say once more.
I try to stay up on everything as much as I can and try to be as aware as I can.
I can tell because
I've done a lot of growing in the past few years since I've been shot, and I've started becoming aware of what actually white privilege is and that and all of this,
like all
and
the educational.
yeah, just becoming woke on everything and having my eyes open to it, all these things that I hadn't realized were there and that I'd been benefiting from. I didn't realize it,
You like
but
living
yes,
it, but
yeah. So now, I try to learn as much as I can to become a more well-rounded person and to become the person that I need to be. So
exactly. Yeah, because like you were living it, but then like you're like, wait, that's actually like a thing. That there's a name for that.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
amazing. It's
Didn't realize it at first. I know that sounds naive and I know that sounds bad, but I
no, it
really
doesn't.
didn't realize it. It was just a couple years
No,
ago.
Thomas, I'm
Yeah,
telling you right now. Most I hate to say it, but from what I've researched and experienced, most white Americans, I'm
yeah,
talking wealthy ones, poor ones, have
yeah.
absolutely no clue the system of racism and systemic racism and white supremacy we live under. It's like if you're a fish, you don't know you're living in a bowl because you just it's really hard. Don't be
Exactly.
that you educated yourself and have come. I mean,
I've had
that's
help, but yes,
because
I've had help.
I had to do the same darn thing. I
Yes.
wasn't born going, oh, I know. I when I was little, I noticed like this is weird. I don't get it. No one told me, and
Yeah.
because I was privileged, I started kind of learning when I was like 6. I didn't get it when I was 12. I started catching on. Thank God, when I was 18, I went to a seminar with Jane Elliott, and she's the blue eyes brown eyes experiment she did in the 50s, and I was like, oh my God, it was life changing because this was a thing. And like I'm not
Yeah.
the only one who thinks this is just freaky how we treat and it's just once you're in it's like you just keep learning and you're like, my God, I've been fooled.
Yeah, it
So
cascades. It's ridiculous. So just snowballs. It keeps going and going and going.
the
Yeah,
more you
it's
learn, the more you're like, oh my God,
Yeah, and then and sometimes I catch myself becoming more depressed because it's like, man, the more I learn, I'm just like, oh, this is so screwed up.
It's a system, and like you can't really stop it.
Yeah,
But what you're
it's
doing, teaching it, is nothing better. I mean, I'm a
we all
huge
make a
advocate
difference.
of education, and I always say, if you're a white person out there, I don't care what you do, where you go, how rich, how poor, educate yourself, and then go educate other people who are white, so that you can get people on board that this is not, we're being fooled, we're being played the fool. And that's why, I could get into it all, but anyway, let me ask some questions, and I want, if you don't mind, explain how you got out and how you barely got out and how, you thought you were going to. I just ask, is that okay? Because that's a story.
Yeah.
Let me just.
How I got out was
Well, can you hang 1 second?
basically.
Because there's a couple questions that people have
Okay,
that are preliminary, and I'm kind of like
right,
ignoring everybody. Like,
no
I'm like,
problem.
he's all
So
mine. I'm talking to him. The first person, Learn Social Justice, says, do you think punching a Nazi like Richard Spencer is good?
I don't advocate for violence in
I,
any form.
man.
I believe, like I know Antifa, like some of Antifa, have promoted a lot of violence towards people like that and preemptively. I don't,
Antifa, yeah.
I don't condone violence in any form. If people are breaking the law, then yeah, they should. There should be some kind of action against them by law enforcement. But I don't think that should be taken on upon us. That's not going to, hate breeds hate. Hate does breed hate. Hate does not breed love. So
Right.
that's not how we're going to get around to that. Compassion, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they're breaking the law, if they're just, being just completely, you know,
If
what
you're
they are
defending
sometimes,
yourself or defending
yeah,
other, yeah, I mean,
it's different. But it's got to be extreme circumstances that you're not going there to incite or look for. So, that's a complicated question.
yeah, I'm
I know I've
confused
been
on
asked
the
that a
question a
bunch
little bit
that
because
people love to ask, but yeah, it's kind of a loaded question. I know people want to go out there and just act violently towards them because that's what those other people want. But if you do that to a Nazi, you're justifying everything for them. They want you to hit them. The moment you hit them, in their mind, you have justified everything that they're doing, and they're going to smile when you do it. After you do it,
they've
watch.
gotten you, they've gotten you to
Yep,
lower yourself to their level,
exactly.
basically.
They're getting the responses that they want. So do what these cities are doing. Go in there, promote love, get everybody to overpower. I think there was like 7 Nazis at one rally, or 6 or 7 Nazis, one rally recently. There's like 600 or 300. I can't remember the numbers, so don't quote me on them.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a bunch of other people that severely outnumbered other Nazis that were promoting love. It was protesting love. So that's what we should do, and show them that we have too much love, too much empathy. We are too strong together to allow this to continue to corrupt us. That's what we should do.
Like love trumps hate, which they said with Trump,
Exactly.
and all that stuff. Like, don't
really
take the high road, not the low road, and because
it's just been a repetitive system. We got to break that cycle.
It'll never stop. Right. Because violence is always going to just. I mean, that's a great answer, and yeah, it seems so obvious, but when everyone's head kind of gets mixed in all this stuff, it gets kind of
emotions and everything. Yeah. We're human.
Yes. Oh, Steve wants to know what made you quit the Aryans. Like what made you quit?
Honestly, it was a lot of things.
Great question.
To make it sound good for the video, I could say, "Oh, it's because of their values," but really,
no,
I was in it.
Make it sound good because it's true.
But when I kept trying to help them out of the criminal lifestyle and out of that, and I was trying to help them start businesses, and I was trying to help them do things and try to better themselves, they didn't want to do that.
They wanted to stay in the business.
Yeah, and I was like, okay. By that point, I would try to help so much that I was about to drown myself. And at that point, it was either just like, okay, I have to shed all this, or I'm going to die. And it was either die or risk dying with them. So
it was like leverage, kind of. You had leverage. You were like, okay, I can't keep living this way.
Basically, I was like, I don't know. There was a lot of factors that were going into this. There was a lot of addiction. That was, it was part of it and everything else. So there's a lot of different things. But mainly it was a lost cause, and I had to really just tell myself that there's no turning this around, that they're going to continue down this path, and I wanted nothing to do with it, and I had to just stop and say, there's basically jump out of the burning airplane and shoot, just go. Basically,
it had to end. And can you leave these things?
Some of them, some groups you can. Aryan Brotherhood has, like an extreme situation where there's blood in, blood out. Where if you want out, it's usually going to cost your life.
Can you explain? Can you explain that blood in, blood out? Because I don't know if everybody.
Some people, well, to get in an organization, you may have to kill somebody, and to get out, you may have to die for that. So there's, somebody has to shed blood for you to get in, and somebody has to shed blood usually you for you to get out, and that's usually how it goes. Now, some other groups aren't as extreme anymore. Some of them are, different calibers. Some of them are completely political groups, and some of them are more terroristic. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to glorify any of these groups.
Right. No, I appreciate that. I mean, but yeah, that's what I.
Yeah. I try not to. Yeah, I try not to, like use, like the Brotherhood and stuff like that, because it's a combination of a problem here in the United States, and then I have friends and associates that are working the racism problems globally. So when I talk about certain things, I have to remember that some people are only thinking about this country. So I have to make sure that I word things only for the local problems that we are encountering here. But
I do the same thing when I talk about racism and systemic racism, because people are like, well, that happens everywhere. And I'm like, my focus really is U.S. And
then you have colonialism, which is like which type of racism in like like in like Europe and all that stuff. So there's a lot of different faces across the world of racism, and that's why. Before, when I say to people of color, because there's a lot of different types and different groups that are getting different types of racism put on them. So yeah, sometimes I get carried away with that.
Yeah, no, you're it's so funny is you've even like come full circle since I last talked to you on an interview. You're just like learning
every day.
Tons, just like I learn something every day. It's like you're like changing and developing. And so what got you out, I guess the answer to the question is a combination of realizing that I kind of don't want to do this anymore, and
I could never become the best me. They didn't want to be the best them, and I wanted, and I have a son I love dearly, and I would never allow him around that, and that was costing me my life with my son. And because I would I made my peace early on when he was born, to never expose him to that lifestyle, never expose him to the criminal lifestyle, never expose him to any of that, never expose him to abuse or anything like that I've ever got experience to. So like in doing that, I have been absent most of his life.
Mm-hmm.
So but he's been raised, and that cycle has been broken.
The cycle has been broken, and that's what I freaking love to hear, because sometimes people don't get that. It's a cycle. And it's all very purposeful with our, just like the cycle of poverty, the cycle of, keeping people in school districts that get no money because there's no infrastructure. It's a very purposeful thing. We have solutions, but you broke the cycle of violence, and that's.
So to all the dads out there that can't be with the kids, Happy Father's Day.
I say Happy Father's Day to you. And you know what? Your little guy might never quite know, but you know.
Yeah. Oh, my son, he tells me he's proud of me. I love him to death. Yeah.
Have you been able to have some contact or, talking to him? And
a little bit, yeah.
A little bit?
Good. A little bit, yeah.
Because,
nice.
Thomas, you do realize that's a gift.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Life every day is a gift. I'm blessed today. I'm living the best life that I ever have. I'm becoming the best me that I, can be. I've never been happier in my life. I've never been more fulfilled. I've never been more complete. So I love it.
I always say this. It's kind of like, I'm not trying to embarrass you, but I'm just so freaking honored that I got to meet you, because I'm telling you,
I'm just a simple person.
No, but Thomas,
really.
Doing the right thing and trying to be the best person you can be, that takes courage, because you had a tough, really rough everything, and you've turned your life around. I mean,
I'm not the only one. There's a lot of us out there, and and I feel hopeful that there are a lot of people out there that can still turn their lives around. And I think that, I'm not special, but I could be a good example of what people can be and what people can do.
You're very humble.
To never discount. Well, God guides me. Like, to say I did anything, oh man, I couldn't take that credit. I wish I could. I wish I could say I did that, but no. All glory's God. Sorry. So
Andrew
it's just.
Andrew says, "Bravo, Thomas. You have a lot of guts."
Thanks. I do appreciate that.
It's true. I'm just saying it. And let me get a couple more questions, and I want you to tell. Oh, Victor's here. Hello, Victor. Learning social justice says that's what what people during slavery said, no violence, all we need is love. Now, I'm not sure if that was a question, or if you're saying that the people who were forced into a enslaved status by other white humans were saying, who was saying what. I'm not 100% sure if he's saying that's a good thing or it's a bad. Maybe.
Well, I think yes. The fact is, yes, they did. The circumstances for that time and everything that created that, for yes, to apply the same circumstances to today, no, the beast is mutated. Can't do that. So we have to have new tactics to attack this beast properly. If our tactics for attacking the beast had properly worked before, we wouldn't have this problem now. So that in itself is not like I can't go along with that. Yes, we do.
Is this what you're saying? I just want to make sure I'm you're saying, like, just being all, everyone just love each other isn't like kind of.
Well, I'm not saying like just open arms to let somebody shoot you in the face.
It's a good idea, but education
I'm saying that the people that are wanting to come out show compassion to those that do want to come out. To those that are that are not, then yes, there are there are steps that need to be taken to go through and remove a lot of the things and to try to target that. Yeah, there needs to be a lot of proactivity. I think there needs to be a lot of education in schools to teach the issues that really happen, that teach, and actually teach the main points. That way this doesn't happen, instead of just having whispers behind closed doors where it's like a myth and nobody knows the actual facts.
Like,
get it out there and say,
get it out in the open. And
yeah, it's a multifaceted thing. Just to go say, no, yeah, it's there's so many things that need to happen. And say that I can answer this on one show would be a failure in itself, because that would be an injustice to us all.
But once more, Thomas, I didn't quite hear you. I
said if I tried to explain all of that right now, it would be an injustice to us all, because I wouldn't be able to get it all out. It's multifaceted, issue, and it's multifaceted, solution that we need to, put into effect. I don't know.
Social science is complicated.
Yes.
People study it for years, and it's complicated. And some
people are complicated, so the whole nature of it is complicated. Yeah.
Right. We're not all the same, of course, and it really is. And also, we're living in a system upon a system upon a system. It's there's a lot, and then everyone's different, and right now, and unfortunately, and this is just my kind of very arrogant opinion, I think there's a lot of things that can be solved that we absolutely 100% do not want to solve in this nation, and that's our government. The people who are enjoying this privilege and power, the wealthiest elite folks, they don't want solutions because they're enjoying what they have.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of issues with we have some solutions, but we don't use them.
Or the whole, everything is stacked against all of us that do want change, right, and set the ones that don't because it benefits them. They have pushed all of us into a corner, using poverty or using
financially,
whatever. Yeah, using whatever means necessary, and they've used a lot to alienate so many people that they get rid of competition, because the ones that are still able to vote and are traditionally have still been able to vote have been the ones that are going to vote their way. Now that's starting to change in some states that are starting to vote, to give their felons back rights, but
people are starting to, but with this
but we're so far behind.
Yeah, like when we look at other nations, even other nations, their prison system's rehabilitative. Like, it's humane. You don't have your freedom, but it's humane.
The Netherlands,
that's what
is awesome with their prisons and their addiction rates and everything else. That we should take note and we should follow suit.
Exactly. I've seen documentary after documentary, and what they're doing is working. But we're Americans and we're arrogant, and it doesn't make sense. But it kind of does when you think greed over humanity. Greed over humanity.
We don't think about humanity way after a lot of lives lost. A lot of things, like, and it's just.
I just didn't catch you. What did you say?
We as a people usually only think about loss of like humanity or something like that after the loss of life, like a lot of it. So yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason, after seeing what other countries are doing, that what we're doing is even. It's a crime against humanity. I really feel people are like, they did something, they did, but you know what? They're still humans, and that's where I have some really strong feelings around that. So I'm just going to shut up right now. What's the next question? Who has some other questions? was going to just scooch over to...
Okay.
Oh, Anton, thank you for being here. Hello. Feel free to jump in and ask anything you wish. Let me see. Nope. White supremacists, this is some learning social justice, he says. White supremacists and the capitalist class need to be forcefully rooted out and abolished. And there is a sick, kind of a dysfunctional relationship, as I know you know, between capitalism and humanism. It's it's really not pretty, and I think we've allowed that to get.
I would like to root out the problem, but doing that in a realistic model would be hard. It's just like the 400 something police officers that are current or retired that have been members of hate groups on Facebook.
Yes, I read about that.
Yeah, it's just like all of that. To root them out, unless they put it out there, which a lot of the upper echelon groups use apps like Wicker that have self-destructing, non-traceable, messaging and everything else. So there's a way, they have ways around that for the upper echelon. They're just smarter about it. Whereas other, the people that want, the lower end of the echelon, the people that really aren't making all the big decisions, yeah, we can find them easier. But the higher ups, like the ones that like to play dog whistles and everything, I can't say a whole lot because I do volunteer with a nonprofit. So,
right.
y'all can just insert that right there when so.
Yeah, no, I know the
It won't cost anybody any funding,
Yeah, there's stuff that can be done. It's we got some really wealthy people who aren't going to give up their power. Moppy says America's government will never tell the truth, and they're not transparent, they're not open. The ruling elite rule, and they're about money, and it's just. I mean, I used to tell my dad, be careful. My dad's a doctor. I say those insurance companies, if it costs less to kill you, they'll do it. And I know you deal with a lot of that too. So I mean, this is all about. We have enough money to feed people who don't have food. We have enough money to house people.
I wish we had the national health care like Europe does and like that does. I have friends that are in Canada. I have friends that are in Sweden. I have friends that are in London. They love the health care.
Yep.
I just waited 2 years to be able to get coverage on Medicare so I can get my surgeries done. So I personally have suffered a great deal due to this system here. And to talk to them, they're like, you have to pay for it? I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh my God.
I had somebody from UK going,
they're getting services like this. They're not having problems and everything else. I'm just like, oh my God. But you try to hear somebody here tell it, the story of over there, and it's a whole different nightmare sound kind of scenario. It's not even,
There's a lot of propaganda, purposeful propaganda.
It is. Yep. But if you talk to people that actually live there, then it's
I get
different.
Healthcare. Yep.
Yeah.
Exact same. I have some friends who are in some of my communities. They're like, I had one guy go, I got my surgery. He's like laughing. He goes, I didn't pay 1 cent. And he had major surgery. He's like, oh, did you have to wait like weeks and weeks? He goes, no. I mean, we're getting bamboozled beyond,
yeah. Well, so far, my surgeries have cost about $400,000.
Yeah.
It's from the shooting, just so far. And that's, I still have a couple more to go.
50% of all people who go bankrupt in America, it's probably more, this is an old stat from 10 years ago, do so because of medical bills. They're not buying a yacht. They're not, they literally cannot keep themselves healthy without going bankrupt.
They're not even chartering a yacht.
They don't even know what the word yacht means. Everyone likes to, it's terrible. Let me just get a couple more questions. I really want you to explain what happened when you got out, because it's amazing. It's crazy stuff. And Pat. Hello, Pat. Pat is a wealth of knowledge and has been teaching me. And last time I talked to him, he told me something I absolutely didn't know. And I wasn't even shocked because every day I learn something new. I'm not even shocked anymore. Sometimes two things.
There's so much information out there.
We have whitewash history. There are forces at work who do not want an educated public. And so just like, Trump's trying to get people to think that the news is wrong and this and that, you got to do your own research now. The fairness doctrine is gone bye-bye. Pat says, look, what most of you guys don't know is that white supremacist stuff is even printed on the very money we spend today. the nickel. He told me yesterday, and I'm sure there's a lot more. I mean, I've seen a breakdown of the dollars and bills, and this nation was founded
Instructed for it, yeah.
on white supremacy, basically. The nickel has that thing on the back that looks like the Washington. It looks kind of like a White House. That's not a White House. That's Jefferson's slave house, basically. I mean, so it's people don't want the truth, and it's becoming more and more covert.
It's easier to ignore it if they don't have to deal with it.
And if you don't have, right, if the more segregated we are, yep.
Yeah, if you go back to basic human instinct, we're lazy. We don't want to do the extra work, to do extra steps and everything else. So yeah, that plays into account.
Yeah. So he says so racism, it goes very deep here. I think you meant deep instead of beep. I'm just guessing, unless that was like a swear word, beep. And he said, yeah, it's so deep. It really is. And thank you for that. And I think I might be missing somebody's, and if I did, don't hate me for it. Kind of all over the place. I'm just okay. I had a giant cookie. It was like this big, and oh my gosh, now I can't eat for a month. So the sugar's like woohoo. But yeah, there's So how when you finally decided you were gonna get out, you were done. How did you had
I was just gonna leave and disappear and kind of just fade away.
Can you tell us the story?
At that point, not all of it. No. I'm just gonna put it into a summary, basically.
Okay, is that okay?
I had relinquished everything. I wasn't the leader, but I was up the hierarchy of the group. So
you were in a high position when you got out, you mean, or?
Yeah, I was one of the highest ones out of prison that could be outside of prison, but I wasn't the highest. So,
right.
But anyway,
one of the leaders. Okay.
Yeah, so I started by relinquishing all that stuff, and just kind of fading away, not, kind of just not doing anything. And some point, I guess.
You mean you stopped participating, kind of? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Tried to lead like a normal life.
Tried to, and well, there was some internal stuff that was that had happened that caused a lot of I guess animosity between me and one of the head guys, and that's basically what boiled down to being a personal beef that he used the organization against me, and that's basically what happened. I didn't know they were going to come after me. I didn't realize it, but
you thought I'd always told get out and kind of just.
Well, no, I told I'd always told my wife. I said, that if it ever happened, it'd probably be somebody I didn't know that they had just tried to get membership to, because they were sending, somebody that didn't know me, obviously, because brothers knew me. All the brothers knew me, liked me, because I didn't. Yeah, well, I didn't do anything bad to them. I always tried to help them out. So, they got somebody that didn't know me, and basically, I don't know what they told him, but supposedly they weren't supposed to shoot me, but they heard my reputation, so they decided to shoot me while driving down the interstate instead of. I don't know what they were going to do. I don't know what they were sent to do. I don't know the whole story. But I wasn't there for court. I wasn't there for any of that. I don't know what happened. I don't know exactly anything. I just know the final sentences, and that's about it. Mm-hmm. They didn't let me know until months afterwards. I didn't know everybody had been sentenced until like 4 or 5 months.
They called them and everything, and
no, I had to call it for a checkup. I didn't know what was going on, and that's when they told me everything that happened. Yeah. So.
Do you want to talk about how it went down, or no? You don't have to if you don't want to. It's obviously.
I don't really know how. Okay, what's the question? Because I'm not sure.
Remember when you told me in my interview was fascinating, because you brought me through it.
Part of it. Oh, you talking about like the actual day?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to, if you don't want to, don't.
It's like, it's a little hard when I get to the point of actual being shot. Yeah. That causes me to relive it every time I have to recount that. That's why usually I have it wrote down, and I usually send it to people if they want to know exactly what happened.
Yeah, but, I'm not here to harm you in any way.
Basically, they, I was, I lived in an all-black neighborhood. So when I saw 2 white guys circling the block in a truck, I was like, who the fuck are these guys?
Yeah, like, okay.
You don't belong here. Yeah. So I got in the car, and they knew that I borrowed, and I got behind them, and I took pictures of the tag and truck. I figured they were there to rob me because I was a drug dealer. I figured that's what they're there for. I didn't think they were there to shoot me or anything like that. I thought it had something to do with my other stuff. So I got behind them and I basically told them, hey, this is my house. Like, you need to get on down.
Yeah, get out.
And I zip around them and they get behind me and go on the interstate. I didn't know that there was another vehicle behind them. At some point, they got behind them. I didn't see the other vehicle. But they got on the interstate and I saw them. So I hit about 110 miles an hour. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon on a Wednesday, I think it was. I think. So anyway, it was during the week. And so it was rush hour and all that stuff. And but I hit 110 and I realized they're behind me. So I called 911 and I started telling them what's going on. And
911,
because
you're like, okay, these people are.
Yeah, I knew something was going on. Like, a lot of people come up like that, somebody's gonna try to kill you. So I told the officers where I was going to drop out the car, and then I'd meet them there because I was like, I don't know who this is. I don't know these cats. And about that time, I was like, got the interstate. That's when I got shot. It went black, and it was like loud, noisy. So I slammed on the brakes when I realized I was still driving, and I heard somebody say, "Cut the car off." So I cut the car off, and he tells me everything. He tells me everything. Yeah, but anyway, this person talks me through it. Although I think this person was an angel because there's no account of actually who this person was.
This person was an angel because you don't nobody was there.
Yeah, because the police said they were the first on the scene and they were the ones that get me out of the car. But I was talking to somebody that was letting me know I was blind, but somebody was there letting me know what was going on around me. Let me know when the police had showed up. Let me know that like when I was there praying for forgiveness because I knew I wasn't going to make it. I thought I was just going to die. I knew I'd been shot. I didn't know. Like I knew I was shot. I knew I was blind. Didn't put the two together. Couldn't put the two together.
Right.
So
I mean,
shock would let me do it. So I got it. When the police got there, I got out. I did a trust fall and everything. I was awake all the way to the hospital.
Perfectly.
Oh, I was so hyped up on meth. You couldn't knock me out with a nuclear missile.
Oh, is that okay? So that's
yeah.
So you were like awake, and then
yeah. So I was awake all the way to the point we went to the hospital. I was in the ER. I was talking to the detectives that met me there. One of them had been my previous probation officer. In a county that was like 2 hours away from here. Oh. So just so happened, God put him in a place that knew me, and so that was a little comforting, I guess, in a weird way. As much as a police officer can be.
Kind of what? What was the last word?
I mean, it's kind of comforting in a way, as much as a police officer can be.
I mean,
because police officers always make me nervous. Because I get shot, I'm scared to get sent back to prison. Like I'm always uneasy whenever I come in contact with law enforcement, even though I don't have anything to hide. Even though I still talk to a lot of law enforcement, I still have that anxiety.
Makes sense, Thomas. Absolutely.
Yeah. But anyway. So that's how that happened. And then as soon as I got through talking to the detectives, they put me under for all the surgeries to start. But I was completely blind for a few weeks.
And they did some amazing things to try to. I mean, you live with a lot of health issues now, but
I had a craniotomy and everything. They've had to cut my head open right here and open my whole skull open and everything. I was leaking brain fluid out my nose for a little while. I've had a few major surgeries that a lot of people come a lot like pretty disfigured afterwards, or they lose they have brain damage or something else. But I don't have any of that. The surgeon says I have an abnormally thick skull, which
good or bad.
Which my family could have, they could, before I got shot that was true, but I guess God made me like that to survive because He knew I was going to have that. And He made me have an abnormally thick skull in order to protect my life, and so I can be here today telling you this.
Thomas, I can't. You know me pretty well, but by now, and there's nothing more important I feel there's nothing more valuable than to educate people and to be honest and open. What you do is it's a gift. I'm
using what time God gave me to do something. I'm trying to leave a better legacy, honestly. Yep. I almost left a legacy of that was shame and that was dishonorable. And I don't want to leave that. Yeah, I don't want to leave that for my name. I don't want to leave that as my legacy. I want to leave something that's hope, love, peace, something better. We've got to do this. We've got to do this. We're destroying ourselves.
Absolutely. I mean, you had the wherewithal to be able to somehow, some way, just, and it's just something to be very, very proud of. And I know that's just, as like, I'm kind of like a motherly, and it's like, should happen.
Never know what you got to do till you got to do it.
Yep.
Survival
Never say
is
never.
crazy.
And
Yeah.
say that again. Let me get a couple questions. I don't want to keep you here forever, but I definitely want you to tell me about the organization and what you do. And before you got to remind me before we end up going. The whole dehumanization stuff, and can you kind of remember that dehumanization, because you taught me a lot about that when I talked to you. But
when we recruit and we bring people into groups like that, and this is any group, this is like standard brainwashing, quote unquote, basically. It's you basically, in order to get them to hate anybody, to hate anybody. This goes for Islamic extremists, this goes for white supremacists, this goes for anybody.
Our government too.
Yeah, or our government too.
They make
like with immigrants, felons, and all this other stuff. When certain people say certain names about certain groups, those are all tactics of dehumanization. That once you take a group of people and you tell people, hey, they're not really human, they're subhuman, they're
really
objective,
like us.
They're really exist. Yeah, once you start taking away parts of them to make them less, to make them, to take the empathy out of it and to completely take the connection there away, then it makes it easier for them to commit acts of violence, because it's just like saying insurgents to make the American public not feel as connected to the victims of the violence, whether it was actual militants or if it was just collateral damage, stage of being bystanders or whatever. So but the dehumanization for any group is necessary.
We have words like, insurgent, not a person who's a dad who happens to be forced by the government to fight. It's
children, women, children, kids, or husbands and all this other stuff. Yeah, not the stuff that actually connection, empathic connection. Yeah, it's just collateral damage, insurgents, or whatever else, or hostiles, or whatever. Not saying not just military, but this goes for everything. Whereas you have all the derogatory terms that white supremacists use, you have derogatory terms that other groups use, but those are used to take away the identity of that group in order to cause violence against that. Because you're not going to be able to cause violence against something you're connected to and you feel something for. That's why when we try to de-radicalize, we try to show empathy. We try to give that person more connections with these different groups. We give them exposure to to the Muslim community, or whichever one it is that they need. And in that, the dehumanizing is taken away, and we rehumanize to give them that connection back and to give them their life.
100% believe in that. Like, that's one of my groups does that. One of the groups that literally takes people who will never meet a Muslim person in their entire life, will never meet a black person up front, like real friend, in their entire life, and lo and behold, they become friends. Because when you know somebody, it's all, and this isn't the cure-all, but I'll tell you, you're gonna, somebody else says something bad about, this whole group, you'd be like, I know a black person, that's not what they do. Like, you're not gonna throw your friend under the bus, you're gonna be like, it's world changing, and a lot of people kind of criticize me for saying that, but we're all one handshake away, and one, drinks over dinner, or, sitting by the fireplace and actually talking to realize they love their children just like we do. They have hopes and dreams just like we do. They're us, but a different shade, or in a different language, and a different. Dehumanization is huge.
It's the most used tool by every group, but especially white supremacists and things like that.
Well, right. But think of the people who are coming from when the people who are coming from Central America to be immigrants. They're coming from countries that we had a part in, kind of messing up with our policies and trying to keep communism away. They're coming here. Trump has made them. What's that?
You're referring to the drug war, right?
Yeah, and saying it's the drug war, and these people are carrying their children 3,000 miles for drugs. No, I don't think so. And then it's sort of funny, because not funny. I mean, but it's just it's fucked up. I mean, let's be real. They have these kids. Automatically, they call their parents criminals now, whereas before they were asylum seekers. Criminals, because Trump made it a crime to seek asylum when you don't go in. I mean, it's all very psychological and really sick.
You're a target to hate. You need,
exactly.
they have to give the population a target to hate, whether it's war, whether it's whatever. Mm-hmm. They give you a target to hate. You don't focus on them. They can do what they want. They make policies to do whatever they want, and they give the smoke and mirrors, and it's everything else. It's just up to us to be responsible and become awakened to everything, and to shine a light and to show them they can't do that.
You have to think and realize what they're doing. We're good at it. The United States is good at this. We've been doing this a long time. We've been blaming, black people, African American people, everything when it's not pretty. Let me get a couple questions in here. What okay. Gloria asks, what do white people hate and you might not know that, hate the most about black people and why? And before you answer that, I've had people ask me that all the time. And
wow.
My answer is, my God, I have no idea, because I don't think like that. So, but
wow.
Yeah, it's kind
the biggest enemy. If I had to say anything, the biggest enemy, fear of the unknown. How about that? Fear of the unknown.
That's very fair.
Because to be honest with you, on a lot of levels, I know more about black culture and everything, the way I was raised, than I do white.
Right.
I feel more comfortable with my black friends than I do anywhere else. So.
And I've heard that kind of thing a lot, and
So fear of the unknown and the fact that people, are being told all these other things behind closed doors, and just go meet people.
Propaganda.
Just go and expose and then you break down walls that way, because there's no guesswork in there. But to say one class hates another,
it's like you don't even know all the people in that class. How could you even?
Yeah, and to say just generalized things would be so unfair to both sides.
Yeah.
And we want to actually make ground. We want to gain ground. We want to make something productive. And to answer that any other way is just volatile, toxic, and explosive.
It's kind of interesting because a lot of people come after me personally because they say, not a lot. I mean, that's actually kind of an exaggeration, but they say, "Oh, you're constantly bagging on white people," and it's just because I'm just kind of talking the real history. And the real history is not pleasant. It's what it is. What it is. I don't hate white people, but we have a very, very violent history and a cruel history.
So nobody wants to change. If somebody come and told you, said, "Hey, everything you eat about your diet that you love so much that you never wanted to change, that now you must change because it's better for somebody else," you're like, "Why? What? Huh?" Yeah. And that's the kind of reaction that you get. It's the same kind of palette. There's zero understanding. There's zero want there.
I'd get told, you just hate white people. I'm like, I just want the truth to be told so that we can, liberty and justice for all can be for everybody, not just as living a lie baloney.
I can't wait until we can reference people as just being people instead of being these other subcategories that we love to label.
And I know we're not saying take away their culture, but,
and it's horrible in general because it's a horrible practice that we do. But once we can overcome that, because we acknowledge that division in everyday life when we say, "Oh, that person," and we reference a skin color or skin shade or anything like that, it's horrible.
And unfortunately we're not. And
I
know a lot of people would go the other way and say, "Well, what are you trying to do? Put us all in one and make us." I don't think that's what Thomas is saying. I think he's just saying basically that we all truly do value all groups equally, not because it's so easy to our culture has a ton of propaganda.
We love to divide.
We love to divide. Oh God, yes. And it's once you meet someone, you're like, "Oh my God, they could be my brother," because we really are all related. Mm-hmm. So here's more questions. You're really a good teacher, Thomas. I just struggle at it. You're a natural. Okay. Moppy says Christianity is white supremacy too, and that's her opinion. History is whitewashed in your text. Whoa. Let me go back. It's kind of scrolled away. We had a lot of questions here. And your school textbooks are filled with lies, whitewashed, or they're not even in there. It teaches people of color to hate themselves and look down upon their own people. Yeah, I mean, it's complicated stuff. Yeah,
I agree with that. I agree that the curriculum that they're teaching is not 100%. Yes. It's been whitewashed.
It's not honest. It's not.
No, and that's what I said. The proper education that I said earlier, that's part of that. That's what I was talking about. Like, we need full education about what really is happening and what we need to do about it, and full education about who and what people are, and to realize that we're all uniquely individual people that that are equal. It's just hard.
Yep, that's we got some issues here in this country and this world. Yeah.
Maybe more than we can cover in a couple of shows. I promise
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. But yeah, let me just get a couple more. Anton, that's the only way members of the OHAS hate groups get reformed is when their clan buddies turn on them.
It's usually the clan buddies turn on them when they try to get out. So it's not usually in that order.
Right.
Most of the white supremacy groups that I've been at the company had the privilege of knowing, they are known for killing their own members first and foremost than anybody else. So the hate crime, not like on Aryan Brotherhoods aren't as high. They're mainly, like I said, they're mainly known for killing their own people. So to say that it's in that order, it's not fair, man. It's not fair at all. It's actually the other way around. A lot of people, like, they are just tired of the bullshit. It wasn't what they were pitched, and they're tired of it. They grow fatigued of it, and there's no way, and they just, it's a bad problem. If it was easier to get out, they might do it a lot faster. But once they join those things under these one pretense, once they find out it's another thing, it's already too late. Society has already cast them out. They're already, like, nobody wants them. So that fuels more self-hatred and everything else to commit acts of violence and things like that. And things like that of that nature. So
something you said to me, Thomas, when I did talk to you a while back, and again, I want to remind everybody that I have a almost 5-part interview that he just lays it out. It is so, like, I was just like the whole time. And one thing you said to me is something I never really thought of. When a person gets out of a group like this, however they might go about it, they don't have support. Can you explain that? Like, how everyone hates them and their people hate them.
The only place now is like Life After Hate, the organization that I volunteer with, is the only organization in the U.S. right now that's trying to tackle the issue of, well, if you want to stop these extremists, where do they go once they're like you have to give them an option to get out, and let them know that they have a way out. Because most times they don't know that there's a way out, and they do acts of violence that end up killing themselves because they don't want to live this life anymore, or any other variation. I'm not saying this is everybody, so
right,
don't nail me to the wall on specifics for everything. I'm not putting this across the board. This is everybody, and everybody does this, and everybody does. Speaking just from my personal experience with mine and other people that I've known and things like that. So I'm just saying, for everybody out there listening.
Yeah. Disclaimer, that's a disclaimer, but absolutely, this is your opinion, and you happen to have some experience. But I remember you said to me, and tell me if this is still kind of,
it is.
You said when they come out, the people who they left the group, they lose, they hate them, they feel that they're a traitor, they left, and when you come out and you have all these tattoos and you realize they're in a hate group, the public is terrified of you, they hate you too, so it's like you have nobody, kind of. Is that really?
Yeah.
Like
yes, and that usually actually, and that will actually cause the person to relapse back into that lifestyle.
Because you're isolated. You're so isolated. It's like,
it's just like they get addicted to the anger in that lifestyle also too. So there's that level of it. But there's so many different layers and dynamics to this. Yeah, it is. Every part of this is so complicated. So I would love to give these simple answers, but
right. But when you pointed that out to me, I guess there's a lot of people who be like, I don't believe you. That somebody actually wrote to me when I was advertising, to have this Q&A and bring you on, and I know you now, and I feel your heart. I mean, you are amazing. But they're like, I don't know that guy. How do you know he's reformed? And I was like, oh my God, you have no idea. But people are, like, and they don't understand the nature of the organization. They think it's like pure white supremacy. That's all you do is hate on black people. That is like your mission in life. Whereas, they don't quite. It's not that simple to put it like.
Yeah, it's really not. It's a multifaceted problem that has there's so many angles. Like I said, I wish it was just a clean cut yes and dry, yes, no kind of answers, or a very short, concise. If it was that easy, it would be easy to solve, and we would have done it by now. But it's not. it's a very complex problem that is self-promoting, and it's something it's a creature that's alive and steadily evolving. With every day, they come up with new ways to spread hate, and they come up with new ways. I've been, I've been lucky to be able to work with Life After Hate and
Life
a
After
group,
Hate.
yeah, Life After Hate and a group called Possible. You can go to wecounterhate.com. I was able to work on them with that program.
We Counter Hate, not what? What did you say?
wecounterhate.com.
Ah, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, and what that is was to stop hate speech on Twitter. So I was lucky enough to be able to help teach that that engine about hate speech, emojis, and everything else to be able to help stop hate speech. If y'all want to know more about that, check that out. It's wecounterhate.com. That's one of the things that Life After Hate and actually had me included in on, and I was lucky enough to be able to work with it on them, and that was awesome. So
I'll put all these at the bottom of the the video if you guys want to learn more. I found Thomas by getting a hold of somebody who said, I know a person who will talk to you. I had no idea who it was going to be. And then I meet this dynamic, amazing man who has lived, 1,000 lives and survived to talk about it. So
yeah, God's been good to me. Yeah, God's been good.
You know what? You're doing such good. Here's a couple more questions. Let me see. Oh, okay. Neil, Thomas, I have a feeling you also have a great sense of humor. Let me know if I'm wrong or right. Don't be shy. That's Neil.
I do. Sometimes corny. Yeah, sometimes corny, but I love humor. Before, people who knew me before I got shot would probably be shocked to see me smile as much as I do now. I wasn't one to be known for smiling all the time, but yeah, life is too good for me not to smile. I love it. I love every day. I'm blessed to have every day. I'm blessed to have every minute. So I'm going to enjoy it to this max. I'm going to love it to the max, and I'm going to try to do everything I can. So. Yep,
I'm
as smiling.
A mom, it's I know I'm not, actually, I'm a lot older than you. I'm so freaking proud of you. I mean, that sounds like a weird thing to say. That is what life's about, is learning and growing, and you are going to help people. You are going to save lives by being who you are.
I hope God can use it. I really hope so.
It's amazing. I've never been there. I can't imagine being there. And so I don't know how I'd be, but
we all have to go through our past in order to get to our place where we need to be.
Yeah.
And that's what I had to go through in order to give me my story, in order to give me my compassion and my sense of view and everything in my way. Yeah. It's just all meant to be.
It's kind of funny because a lot of people are constantly telling me you hate white supremacists. You hate. I would give them the shirt off my back. I hate their behavior. I don't hate them. People say, if I saw Trump hanging on a cliff, I would never grab his hand. I'd grab his hand in a heartbeat. That's who I am. People don't quite get that. His behavior is abhorrent.
Yeah. Behavior can change too.
There's a difference.
Yeah. Behavior can change. People can change. Now, I'm not saying everybody out there that's, that has, a Nazi flag, throwing a Nazi salute or doing whatever.
Is going to ever want to change.
Yeah, I'm not saying they want to change and that they're going to. I'm just saying that the ones that want to can. And that, through Life After Hate, if you want to check it out, it's lifeafterhate.org.
Yeah, we're going to put that on there because people can change. And I've had huge, brawls almost with people saying, no, they can't. It's but I've seen people, it's a very steep learning curve. We're indoctrinated.
It is. I'm constantly learning new things, constantly learning. So yeah. People can promise.
Every day. It's you know what? You gotta if you're a white person, you gotta dedicate yourself to take a couple slices of humble pie, maybe the whole pie, maybe 3, and say, I don't know everything, and I'm gonna listen and I'm gonna learn, and it all kind of makes sense.
And it's okay to do this later on in life and admit that you're just now learning. That's okay. Right. We all learn different things at different levels in our life and different times in our life. And some people are like, oh, I'm set in my ways. Well, that's a cop-out.
That's exactly. That's a cop-out.
It's being weak. It's cop-out. Yeah, it's cop-out. It's just not wanting to work on oneself, and it's lazy. But, this is my personal opinion.
That is my personal opinion, too, because it's it's just, nice try. No, you don't get to get out like that. No, I'm to it. Give me a break. I'm, on the older side, and I learn something every single freaking day. And when I look at where I was, I actually just look at my old videos, and I'm like, I was so naive and sweet and darling then. I was like, so maybe like if you could just learn. It's like, no, now I'm like, look, I'm a changed woman, but and
Life happened, huh?
yeah, and but you know what? One on one, I'm
Yeah.
absolutely the same person I was before. But when I talk to large groups,
Mm.
unfortunately, people don't respond to. We're in an age where if you want to learn something, we have the communication technology.
Yes.
People don't human nature. You just don't want to know. But I'm one of those weird ones. I want to know. I'm
Yeah.
weird. But let me get some more questions here. Oh, that's a. Oh, let me see. Oh my gosh, I'm skipping things. Okay, Moppy, I was watching this radio show and this white male called in saying, "Why isn't there a White History Month?" Oh, I have a video for you for that. It's every day. It's every day.
I have an answer for that, but
Yeah.
that's usually those are usually the little first catchphrases that people try to use to get people to start being radicalized. They try to use that in the myths of white genocide to promote fear and to promote that thing. So the reason you're hearing that, it's a person that is basically rumor mongering to try to produce fear and to try to put it out there. That right there was free airplay for a white supremacist, because that's what they're doing. That's they're catcalling basically. You know what I'm saying?
They're giving you a little food for thought.
Yeah, because they try to make white supremacy palatable in these little ideas first, or they're not little.
God, no, but I know what you're saying.
But they try to make it more palatable with the smaller pieces. Mm-hmm. They'll feed you smaller pieces to radicalize you, and they get bigger and bigger, and they get into anti-Semitism, Holocaust denial, and all this other stuff, the bigger stuff. And then they get, after you solved all that, the jump to full extremist is not that far. It's just a step,
right?
And you don't even have to make it like it's just a small step by this point that you've been baby fed everything inch by inch before you know it, you're ready to fall off the cliff.
Right. It's like anyone, like if somebody said, "Can you just go like that to somebody?" You're like, "Okay, sure." Then they ask you to do it a little harder. Do it a little harder, and pretty soon you're beating the crap out of them. And it's a very simplistic way to put it, but people can be conditioned.
Yeah, but that's how you do it. You don't radicalize somebody overnight. You radicalize them over time, and you do it efficiently and thoroughly. And when people start doing that, and they go white pride and all this other stuff, those are very, very, very widely used terms to get people to start getting palatable to white supremacist values. So that's why you start to see it like that, and that's why you see it on flyers at different universities and things like that.
Yeah, they're trying to recruit, and it's interesting that a lot of studies have been out with the radicalization of white, homegrown terrorists and whatnot, and it does, and in people who are pretending to be of the Muslim faith who are actually using it as an excuse. It seems like it's all the same thing. These
extremist mentality is they're extremist.
Yeah,
it's common across the board. I've talked to a former Islamic extremist, and we had a great conversation. We're going to have another conversation coming up soon, in a couple months, and we're going to meet up and have an interview, and it's going to be awesome. But having spoken with her on the phone, or through through Zoom, it's been awesome. But I was able to get a lot of information and to be able to see the similarities in the two, and I was shocked by how much. Yeah, it was basically the same model with a different name, and I was like, "Holy moly, that's crazy!"
Yep.
Yeah, it's just the same model, it's the same structure. Everything is done the same to the people. They get them radicalized the same way, and they send them out there in these missions. Remember, to gain membership to Aryan Brotherhood after 9 months, you have to possibly kill somebody. Well, it's no different than the other stuff. They're just doing suicide missions or other stuff. They're just doing these extremists.
Like the same. There's so many studies now.
You just rebrand into a different name, like jihadist or whatever, like whatever that they want to call it. Mm-hmm. But it's the same thing.
Yep.
And just different name, same beast.
Yeah, that's it's incredible. Oh my gosh, we got some hidden stuff.
Oh, I want to bring up a point to that.
What's that?
I want to bring up a point to that.
Oh, absolutely. Go for it. While I'm
there's
figuring out all this.
There's a group down south that there is one individual was a member of a white supremacist group with his two roommates, right? Mm-hmm. They're best friends. He decides to leave the white supremacist group. He becomes Muslim. They make fun of him. He kills them both. It was not a hard jump for him to make it from one extremist to the next. He went from one extreme ideal to the next extreme ideal. It wasn't a hard jump. Do you know why it was so easy for him? Because it's the same model. He just switched the names.
It's the same format. Disenfranchise people who...
Yeah, if somebody doesn't, if they're not familiar with extremism, they don't understand how he can make that jump so easily. But it's not that big of a jump. They're right next to each other. They're right next to each other. So.
And one thing I've noticed, and I'd love your opinion on this, Thomas, is a lot of times, okay, I personally try to educate people. And I call it, I don't know if there's a name for it, but I call it surface level thinking. You can think something and read something and go, yeah, that kind of makes sense. And if you don't delve into it and be analytical and critical and figure it out, you can kind of, why isn't there a white pride? It's people who want to feel superior or better about themselves. They don't seem to want to, those aren't the kind of people who want to research and go, oh, because we already kind of are in charge.
Yeah, the people who ask about that or white entertainment television or the other different things that I've heard. Yeah, I've heard it all. It's crazy, but it's all because they don't understand or acknowledge or even know about the fact of white privilege. So it's now I'm gonna say this and probably gonna blow blow me up for it, but
no, they don't know our real history anyway. So
induced ignorance is why they're asking that.
Say it again.
Self-induced ignorance is why they are doing that.
Yeah, absolutely, and I don't. There's a word for that. I'm just so high on my sugar cookie, I can't think of it right now. I'm totally serious. But yeah, it's complete, purposeful. I know there's a word for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't want to know. And that's part of the problem when you're trying to educate someone. If they don't want to learn, then...
it's not going to happen. You can talk to them all you want, but if they're not receptive, and that's the thing, that's like life after hate. We help the people that are receptive to it, people that are wanting to, they're actually wanting to de-radicalize.
Right.
Because we can go talk to people all day long, but if they're not wanting it, they're not going to.
Right, and that's why with what I do with white folks, we don't take everybody in our group because some people are too far gone. They're not ready, and they may never be ready. And we can't. This is not like a miracle worker's place. You have to kind of at least be like, this doesn't seem quite right. Like something. You gotta.
Yeah, not everybody grows the same physically, spiritually, or mentally.
Right.
And not everybody's ready to hear everything at the same time. Not everybody is mentally mature enough to handle certain subjects and certain things. They're not mentally capable, or they don't mentally. I'm not going to say it like that because that's going to be
things hit home differently and.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. There
is an order of operations. If you tell somebody, something that's a little more advanced, they'll run and they're gone. You lost them. So it's a very complex thing.
Yeah.
It really is, because you got to work with the person where they're at, kind of.
Yeah, it's not a perfect world. I wish it was, but it's not.
No, and that's why I always laugh, Thomas, because I'm a special ed teacher and I love kind of breaking things down, but there really is an order of operations.
There is, yeah.
I mean, if you start off with our founding fathers were slave-owning rapists, a lot of people are like, okay, I'm going to walk away. They don't. But if you start off with, did you know race is a human construct? They're like, what's that? So it's like you got to really.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
It needs to be addressed, though. But it needs to be addressed. All the way, it needs to be addressed, though.
Yeah, just talking about it. I got some more questions for you if you're up for them. Let me see. Oh, Neil, I'm a white man, and in my opinion, every month is White History Month. Right, exactly. And that's the cliche.
Is, yeah.
I did a video on that, and it was quite, well, let's just say some people were not happy about it.
I think there's a lot of cultures that have contributed that are not recognized. You have a lot of Latin culture in the United States that they've contributed to that have not been recognized. So
even Mexico,
yeah,
oh my gosh,
there is so much that that when we colonized, we completely, here's a smallpox blanket and let's go this route, but horrible, and we've taken so much from so many cultures
We have,
as a
and we
race.
don't like to, we call it colonization. No, we went in and we decided that we're stronger, we're going to kick the shit out of you and take over. I mean, I hate all these
Yeah,
like acronyms that make it sound sweet and darling. Like the homeless. No, those are people who live on the street and don't have a place to sit down and eat with.
just like dehumanizing,
Yep,
just like dehumanizing, you got to make it
the
palatable to
language.
the person saying it
Mm-hmm.
as well, because that way they don't want to feel offended by doing it, even though
That's
they're
what
doing it.
Thomas. When I say slaves, I rarely say the word slaves. I say a human being who was forced into forced into a
Yeah,
non-human status, and it's a lot of words, but I
yeah,
purposely do it because
yeah.
I will not make that normalized. Slaves. It's a person who's So I kind of
Absolutely.
I got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder with that. I admit it. Um, Victor, I watched a stream of a fellow on YouTube called Pig Puncher who was reviewing the Charlotte footage and was becoming angry enough to call neo Nazis subhuman. So it was like going full circle.
It's the same thing. It's they're just going to dehumanize. That's why you have a lot of extremists in, or not. Okay, that's why you have some extremists in Antifa. Because I don't want to be
And
unfair.
right,
You only have
Antifa has some
yeah,
extremism in it, right?
yeah.
Um,
So not all of them are like all about violence, but so you have some of them that are doing this. They're just doing the same thing on the other
on the
side
other
of the
side,
scale.
right? And you
Yeah,
can say
they're
it's a
just tipping it
righteous.
and they're just adding to the cycle instead of just coming together and
Mhm.
stopping everything from moving like we should. Where yeah, the Charlottesville footage makes me sick every time I see it, and it's horrible. There's nothing I can say beyond that. But yeah, it's awful.
It was a botched job. The whole thing. The whole
Human
thing.
beings are capable of some serious savagery and carnage. Not just in this, just in points in general. Just us as humans,
Mm-hmm.
we're beastie. We're awful. Like
We think we're evolved, but
yeah, we're bad. When we
questionable.
our natures get revealed, and it's bad. But yeah, I can see why he doesn't. And in the midst of being angry, people can vent. I get that, but we need to remember that we can't give into that and become who we don't like.
We're the
And become
humans. We're
yeah,
special. We can feel something and not act upon it. We
yeah.
can.
We must rise above that. Yeah,
100%.
that's the
Great,
civilization.
Victor. Great question. Victor is. I'm so thrilled he's here because Victor is an
Awesome.
awesome guy and a brilliant writer. And oh my God, I'm going to rant and rave about Victor. He's
Wish I could write. Like I have a great story, but I suck at writing.
oh, join me. Somebody can say in 2 words what I say, and like, oh, it's awful, but I get the feeling you're probably better than you think. Typo there, just go da 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 da. Oh, okay. Andrew got well said, Neil. Yay. Okay, Victor. When I was watching his stream, I was getting angry with him too, but Tom's saying that love beats hate shook me off that. Okay. I'm not sure 100% what you're referring to, but good. I mean, did you hear what I said? You want me to read that again?
That love, that my
Victor,
comment about love
yeah.
beating hate, I shook him up. Yeah,
Victor
I
says,
hope it.
when I was watching his stream, I was getting angry with him too, but Thomas saying that love beats hate shook me off of that a little bit.
Yeah, we got to remember, like we can get caught up in it, but that's not going to help anything. We become a lynch mob, and lynch mobs don't serve a purpose except for revenge, and that's only shortly lived, and it's quite bitter on the ass end of it. Let me tell you. But when we try to come to a solution, which is what we need, and this is it. And
Education, because
yeah.
I've seen it work. I've seen people, like, it's not simple, but you start them, they digest it, they think, then you give them a little more, then they digest it and think. And, the funniest story, and I'll just say it really fast. There's one group that I used to run. We have people who are beginners. They're white folks who, like you said, it doesn't matter what age you start, as long as you do, start to learn. It doesn't matter. There's no shame in learning when you're 50, 60, 70. Well, we have some people who were raised by KKK type parents, and
Yes.
they want to learn. So they'll come in and they'll say, I don't see color, and they'll say, and I work with them where they're at, and I explain that what you're trying to say is you like to treat people based on their character, not on their color of their skin. You see color, you're not
Yeah.
heart of sight, heart, you see it, But so I try to explain to them how that can be very, you know, kind of putting off, and then so they'll stay in the group for like a year or two, and then I always get this message, and it's the funniest thing, and it makes me very happy. It's like actually a weird thing. I get a personal message. They say, hey Kim, I can't take this group anymore. I have to leave. No offense, I've learned a lot, but there are new people coming in saying they don't see color, and that is pissing me off. And I'm like, okay, that's what you said. It's great.
Different points of learning, yeah. Different points of learning.
They're like, that's ridiculous. How could somebody think like that? And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. That's crazy. Yeah, leave, go on, go teach others, you know? And it's like a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, funny. I would love to be able to see something like that. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so anyway, I just thought, Timothy, yay! Tim is my sweet friend, has a great question. Why are white, and this is like you're the all-knowing. I don't know if you know this or not, but your opinion will matter. Why are white middle-aged men committing suicide? Now that's
Is that in general or?
Yeah, I think what he's saying is there seems to be the people with the most privilege in general, and from what I've read is in general, overall, I'm not a statistician, nor have I studied this in depth, but I have heard this. I could be wrong, don't quote me, but in general, white men tend to have a slightly higher suicide rate than black men, and men who are in historically marginalized groups, and it doesn't kind of make sense. So
I have
ideas, but I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
I have a theoretical reason, but I don't really know exactly for a fact. Theoretical, I guess, because the marginalized groups are so used to fighting for survival, and this one is not. Yep. And so therefore, by not having, now this is just my theory, and then nothing more. I don't know.
Thomas, I agree 100%. It's
but yeah, I think that I think that plays the start of it and the culture part of it, and that's how that goes. And then the fact that mental health awareness is so taboo, and to come out and say that people need mental health is so taboo, you lose your careers. And these are typically people that have the higher careers because of the system set up the way it is.
To let them, and they have no resources.
Yeah, so it's multi-problem, and I could see why there's a lot of different factors in there. Now, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a sociologist. I don't know like any of this. I don't have any schooling for this. That would be my theory on what I know.
That's exactly what I think too. Yeah. And also, part of it is, and this is just another kind of from living life, you'll notice that there is, for the most part, this is general, a little bit of a bonding between people who have, living in groups that have been historically marginalized for hundreds and hundreds of years. Whereas white people have always kind of been they don't even look at themselves as white people. I don't know, unless you're in an extremist group that is white supremacists, in general, white folks think we're just the given. We're not in a white group. That's why when you say white people, and if it bothers you, people get really offended when people say white folks, and they're not ready to hear it.
Yeah, because at that point, they look at, they look at, okay, by that point, those people are viewing white people, that term, as being racist.
Exactly.
Believe it or not, now, please, everybody, don't snap at me. I can't see the comments, so.
No, I can't. No.
Yeah. So,
you're right. So we've talked about this in depth.
Yeah, they don't know anything else.
They don't understand that white folks made up that term to separate, and the problem. I mean, there's a lot to it. White folks in general do not consider themselves as in the group. We're just the given. Everyone else is different.
Denial. We are masters of denial.
It's crazy, But great questions. The suicide thing is, I truly believe you.
I'm big on mental health awareness, and people should not feel, taboo, or they should not feel down or dishonored. Like, if you have problems,
1 in 4 people have mental.
Yeah, don't be scared to get help. Don't be scared to call. They have mental health hotline awareness. So I'm very big on that. I've wrestled with mental health, so don't be scared. If you have anybody out there having problems, don't be scared.
Yeah, you're not alone. You'll feel like you're alone in America, at least.
But
1 in 4. 1 in 4. That means that's pretty much like one person in each family if you have a family. And yet we our system of supposed mental health medical care is non-existent in America.
Hard, yeah.
It's, don't even get me started.
I'd rather lock people up in prison and make whole prisons mental health prisons than they would actually make an institution to help those people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I've been sourced through one of those things. So, and the murder rate and the violence rate in those prisons are 3 and 4 or 5 times higher.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it. We, if you're going to have a heart attack, we'll help you. But God forbid you have a set disorder that's known, that has medication that can help you, then that's on you. You know?
Yeah.
Heart attack, that's fine. But God forbid you have any other, I mean, we got some denial issues in it, and they go kind of all over the place here. Great question, Tim. Victor wants to know, they're really trying for the race war nonsense, but I don't think they can beat anti-war Americans politically. Yeah, there's a lot of, what do you hear about that? I guess that's a good question. They hear a lot of saying there's going to be a race war, the Civil War never ended, and I agree, we never came to terms with it, but what do you think?
You'll hear it in different terms. That's like the racial holy war, Rahowa, different terms like that. All it is, it's rhetoric that is put to help promote the white genocide thing and the fear that they're going to need to defend themselves based on skin color, and that's where that comes from. It's just fear mongering in order to get people to it's just like when the Nazis said that the Jewish people were this and that and this and that, subhuman insect type, and just being horrible.
We're the cause of all the problems.
Yeah.
Which is what we say about black people in America. You know, we don't understand about redlining and the massive significance of historical, how it literally stops you from the ability to accumulate wealth. We live in a society that's like, capitalism is kind of our economic thing. If you can't acquire wealth from the system, then you're in a cycle that is not going to be, I could go on and on. Okay, let me see. We have so many questions here. Pat, the Monticello slave plantation is on the back of the nickel coins. Yep. And that's what Pat taught me.
I haven't checked it out before, but now that you said it tonight, I'm going to have to go look because I love currencies and stuff like that.
Yeah, check it out.
FYI, if you like currency, the 1776 continental currency, back then when they first made the coins, it had an awesome motto. It said, "Mind your business." Back in 1776, check. You can Google the coin and look it up. It says, "Mind your business." That's your motto. That's the motto. I think we should probably go back to that and go start doing some other things we used to do. Not the slavery part. God, no.
Right. No. But yeah, I mean, something. Yeah, it's kind of funny because on a lot of vids I do on YouTube, I say something kind of the opposite. I agree with what you're saying because I know in certain things we should. It's like that's not your business. How does that impact you? But on a lot of things, on the other hand, with the racism and systemic racism, I say to white people, just because it doesn't impact you, you think it's not your, no.
Sight out of mind is the most biggest flaw.
Right. It's like you're a human being. You don't sit and watch just because you were born into it. You don't just go, well, that's the way it is. No. That's the way, as a collective, we're allowing it. Another thing. I have been scrolling. Wow, you're getting a lot of questions here.
I will try to answer some of them.
Okay. Pat says, time will bring about a change in all of us. Just keep living and you will see. It's a good attitude. And Andrew. Andrew is saying, I really don't know who he's talking to, but maybe you guys do. Yep, you're weird, but we love you. Thanks. He couldn't be talking to me. So.
Probably you're the most beloved one here. I'm sure.
No. But I am weird. I'm guessing he's talking to someone else. I'm not sure, but you can tell us. Pat, well, coming from Mississippi, that's not weird there. Oh, maybe he's talking about you.
That is from me. Yeah, that is me.
You're
Mississippi.
Not weird. I'm not sure. Andrew, tell us what you mean. Moppy, it's deeper than skin color. The elites are holding the real history of the Negroes, and the day it gets revealed, a lot of people's feelings are going to be hurt. And you know what I personally can say to that is the history that we have is our history. It isn't an emotional it's not an emotional accusation of anyone individually. It is our group historic history. It is a fact. It is not about any one individual. And that seems to be a really tough thing for people, white folks, to get sometimes. Not all white folks, but a lot of them. It's not about us. What's that?
Ego's always a problem. Ego's always a problem for people.
Yeah, I guess that's ego. You're right, right. It's not.
Ego.
We didn't do it, but now that we see what's going on, it's called being human. Care. Educate yourself. I don't know. It's kind of baffling to me. We have more questions. Great point, Mappy. Pat. Pat says, that is what white supremacists say. They don't see color. Right, and that is an old-fashioned, if Dr. Cindy were here, she's my brilliant, professor that comes on the show, she would explain the era of, I was raised in the era of, oh no, I don't see color, and so I kind of try to help to bring people along. What you might be trying to say is, you are aware of, this is kind of funny, what you're really trying to say is you're aware of white privilege, and that you keep that in mind when you consider how you're going to treat somebody, that you try to check yourself. That's what you're really trying to say. When you say you don't see color, that's not genuine. Yeah. That's a lie. Well, unless you can't see very well, in which case, okay, don't be, it's just not true. So
I think that's where it's up to us to educate other white people, because other races don't know where to start on educating us, because they don't know what how we've been indoctrinated with different things.
Not their responsibility.
Yeah,
people
and so
living it, they don't have to educate the oppressor. It's like,
I'm talking about most people want to, but it's kind of hard to understand the opposite of what their mindset is, because they don't it's a whole different world to the person trying to explain it to them, unless they're white. Right. So, but that's why those of us that do know should step up and start educating, others, in this.
That's exactly why I do any of this, is because I don't do it out of guilt. I do it out of being human. And when people go, thank you, it's so sweet, but don't thank me. I don't get a prize for being human.
I do this, and it helps me on my mental health and my journey and everything, also helping other people. So, I don't do it. I just do it for the psychological benefit.
Exactly. Not doing it hurts me. I feel good. You know what I mean? It's a selfish thing for me.
Not doing something is doing the opposite. Not doing something is hurting it, because by not doing something, we're aiding the problem.
Not doing something is upholding the status quo. And that's the thing I like to tell folks is, and this is very hard to understand, is being nice to everybody doesn't cut it. It's a lovely thought, and it's a great thing to do, but it's not enough. We live in a system. It's a system. Being nice to everybody will not break down the system. And that's the problem.
Yeah. The problem is, I think we're taught about the system too late. By the time we realize it, it's already we've wasted so much life before we even realize it.
Yeah.
That's what I say, education. Go back to the education part.
Yep. Education. We have some more questions. Gary says the wealthy committed suicide after the stock market crash. Okay, good point. Gary is another brilliant person. He's always getting me to think. I lost his. Okay. The wealthy committed suicide after the stock market crash. Great observation. They couldn't cope with not being rich. Racists commit suicide because they can't cope with the loss of privilege. That's an interesting thought. Maybe. I don't know. I'm sure it's a mixed bunch.
I don't know. The facts behind that. Because I don't want to say something, because I don't know.
It's complicated.
It's possible. It's possible. I don't know of anybody that has done that. The system is pretty much set up for them, so
and expected.
Yeah. I don't know. It's possible. I don't know per se, but I'm not.
I don't know. It's but it's definitely something to talk about.
It's possible.
Pat, Great comment, Gary. Thank you so much. Pat, that was because they were being challenged about the slavery here in America. Gotta think of what he's referring to. That's my only problem with this. I wish this was a Colin thing. Not 100% sure where that was going, but okay. Where was I? Andrew. Yes, I was talking to Kimberly. Who's that? I'm going to go back and read that. Yes, I am weird. I was born that way. It's kind of like it's a thing. I don't get bothered by it at all, but people do seem to be like, she's so weird. And it's like, but okay, don't get into it. Very funny. Now I'm mortified. Okay. Thanks, Andrew. Okay.
Be comfortable in your own skin because it's it's the only skin we got.
Yeah.
And
I'm used to being me, but it does bother everybody else a lot. No.
We're all weird. Honestly, every one of us, everybody out there, all of us is weird. Yeah. We're just all weird in our own little way.
I'm not insulted at all. I mean, maybe I should be, but I'm not. It's so fun being me. Okay, Pat, did you know that the original Statue of Liberty wasn't sent to America for a gift for America? Oh, did you know that the original Statue of Liberty was actually sent to America for a gift for America abolishing slavery? I'd never heard of that. And America changed its color and its shape as well. It was beautiful. Oh, I am so looking that up after. See.
Yeah, I'm going to look that one too. Yeah.
I do videos. My next video is this accumulation of these top 10 things that most white folks don't know about our history and the truth. And I have like 20 things on the list because I got to make the video because it's like I have to make 2 or 3. This stuff is fascinating to me. Every day I learn stuff. I am looking at. Thank you, Pat. Dang.
Awesome.
That I had never heard of. Pat, brass statue of a black slave. Really? Did not know that. And let me see. And Moppy, the term white people became a term. Yes, I definitely knew this. 1681, they called us Negroes, black people, African Americans. How the hell are we to be 2 different nations? White people don't call themselves European Americans. Right, absolutely.
Some do.
Some, yeah. And
you have different movements in white supremacy that, like I said, remember I said like there's a bunch of little groups that fall under the umbrella. There's some that identify, I'm not going to say the names, but they identify, and that's what they're using, is the European identity.
They're kind of switching over, because it goes back and forth. I mean,
they're trying to rebrand it, however they can to make it more palatable to the current generation. That's what they're going to do.
Yep.
So right now, yes, they are using the European identity as being the new, Klan. How about that? Just to make it.
But it was invented originally by white folks.
But they're doing other things. They're doing flyers, and they're going after the kids in the colleges, and they're going after all these people that are trying to get positions of power in order to influence that, and it's a whole thing.
Yeah, the whole psychological kind of propaganda stuff is a whole nother world in and of itself. It's I mean, I didn't realize it until this year that Russia is considered the foremost expert in propaganda. I never knew that. So there's just too much to learn. There's too much to. It's just too much. But let me see. I think I finally got through the questions, and I'm just so pleased that you are here and you are so easy to talk to. Can you think of anything that maybe we didn't talk about that you want to say?
Oh my God! Actually,
there's a lot.
We've covered so much ground here. I don't think there actually is, but I would look forward to if anybody has any questions that I can think of that they would like to have. Maybe come on here again, or
I'd love that.
Ask her, and I can answer them, and she can tell you all that.
And Thomas, I'd love for you to come on the Wednesday show. I know that's like pressure, but I mean, you are very well rounded, and you're really like you're kind of amazing, and I think you do fantastic because you really keep up and everything. I cannot thank you enough for being here. The more we learn, the more humanizing we kind of everyone gets more human. And
we have to realize we're in this together. And we have to come together. We have to stop the division. We have plenty of division.
You're a human. You're a thinking, feeling, empathetic. And when I say a guy who was one of the leaders of the Aryan Brotherhood, you should see people look at me like I'm an insane person. Because
I had over 56 swastikas on me at one time. So.
And you're getting all your stuff.
All of them cut off. Eventually. Yeah, I got all the visible ones mainly. Well, not all of them, but all the ones you can notice right off the bat. The rest of them blend in so well that you can't really see them. So I'm gonna wait until I can get them lasered off.
You said it's like really expensive, kind of, and
it is. It's very expensive. I got most of them in prison, so the price and I tattooed for a living before getting shot. So
can you say that once more?
I used to tattoo for a living before getting shot. Also,
right, you're an artist. Yeah. You were an artist.
Yeah. So tattoos weren't really a hard thing for me to get. Well, now that being disabled, it definitely is. So, yeah, but yeah, I'm getting covered up a little bit by a little bit.
I saw that article. It was awesome.
Yeah, that really helped. Yeah, that was it's pretty good. So yeah.
I follow you, Mister. I love following you. You're amazing, and I know Thomas is outgoing, friendly, cheery. But check out my YouTube videos on his interview. This guy's nails. This is a tough guy, and I don't mean tough like rough and tumble. I'm talking about he's been through living hell and survived. And you come across as like, oh, you're so nice, you're smiling. I
feel like that dog Lucky that's on the shirt. It doesn't, missing an eye, missing a leg, and got all, missing an ear and all that. Yeah, I feel like that dog. Honestly, I don't know about great, but I feel like sometimes I've been run over a couple times.
I mean, if you watch the interview, he's got this guy's got a great attitude, and I'm just blow me away every time because I know what I'm trying to say is I know it's not been easy and every day is still kind of but you're doing really good.
It's a battle, but God's been good to me, and I want to thank you for having me. I want to thank everybody else for the questions, and thank you for having me on here.
Absolutely.
And I'm not on here, but if you see me typing, if you feel free to ask questions and everything else. So
thank you. You are
I want to thank you for having me.
And I'm gonna put this. Once I get back allowed to post on Facebook, I was naughty. I must have said something that was like, true. It's like,
you better be careful right now. Everybody's going through these sweeps and they're getting a lot of collateral damage in the YouTube sweeps and a few other things. So
yeah, if you talk the truth, you could be talking about hate speech. The truth, the truth is hate speach now.
Well, I have to fine tune these searches and fine tune these brushes, so we're gonna have to figure it out.
Well, thank you so much, and I know there's a couple more questions, and
okay,
you can definitely jump on afterwards, and I can't thank you enough. You are wonderful.
No problem, thanks.
All right, I will talk to you another time.
Right, bye.
And I'm gonna put all your stuff on so people can find you and learn.
Awesome, thank you so much. You have a good night, okay?
You too. Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Now I got to figure out how to close up shop, and Thomas is amazing.
I'll do it.
The engineer's back. You'd think I could actually do this, but that was so funny saying